Welcome to Recovering Addict. I'm LT, your host. I'm an addict alcoholic.
Welcome. I'm Felice Weaver, your co-host, married to an alcoholic addict.
How's everybody doing today? If you are just catching this as a restream, 2 times in my life I have gone down. I have hit rock bottom due to drugs and alcohol. The first time was back in the early 2000s with meth, committed a second-degree felony, ended up in jail for a year, halfway house, the whole 9 yards, couple years of probation until I finally got clean off of that. And then in my 30s, towards my late 30s, I became a raging fifth-a-night alcoholic, had to check myself into a detox center to detox. Then I had to check myself into an IOP for 5 months, and that's where I spent 5 months learning all the tools I need to learn that tell me you're an addict. And then that's when I finally figured out when I was 40 years old that I was an addict, what the addict mind is and what it means to surrender and powerless and the higher powers and all that good stuff. And this channel right now that you're watching is dedicated to helping those who have gone through addiction to recover from addiction and to prevent relapse. So the question of the day is, where is your head and heart at today? Is it in recovery? Cody, what's going on? Mama of Kim and Kenny.
Hello,
Emily,
everybody.
Aaron, Tracy Silversmith. Nice to see you. Jana, is that a new name? Jana Matthews.
She was here yesterday.
Oh, was she?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, welcome back. Thanks for watching. You got to forgive my memory. It's she wanted to show everybody her Millie. Aaron wanted to show off her hair. Mom straightened it. So, Petey.
She ran away.
And then she ran away. Carmen, welcome. Glad you're here. Hey, Brent, you made it. You stayed awake for the show. Did you go fishing today? How was the catch? If you did.
Lucky.
And there's Raina. Hello.
Hello.
Shauna, clean and sober just for today. That's all we got is just for today. All right, David.
Hi, Tracy.
Welcome, David. Hey, there's the new guy.
Who's that?
We caught each other in a two buddy chat.
I didn't get any
Nice.
yet.
Glad to see you here, brother. You a recovering alcoholic addict like me? If so, what was your drug of choice? How long you been clean? What's going on with you?
I bet we paid you for it.
Tracy, hello. Nice to see you again. Murd, you made it. Yes, welcome, Sober Family. Sober Family checking into the house right now. I love it. What? You lost a tooth? Or is that the tooth you lost before?
No, the tooth that I lost before because it's black.
Ew.
She
that's
said we owe her
gross.
money.
She's trying to get money twice for the same tooth.
I don't remember.
Naomi. Look at Denise is here.
Nice.
Right on. So, yeah, we're here to talk about surrender today. We're going through our book called The 12 Steps We Took. We're on chapter 1. It's basically a little preview of step 1. So we'll be reading through some of that. I got an article pulled up from Psychology Today that we'll kind of go through because step 1 is about surrendering. You have to realize that you're powerless and that your life is unmanageable. You have to pull your eyes and head up out of the sand and realize what's going on around you. And sometimes the blinders of denial hinder you from seeing that. And so we need to understand what it means to surrender, what surrender really looks like. Here's a question. Throw this in the comments if you know. Is surrender something you can will yourself to do, or is it a grace given to you by your higher power?
Oh, good question.
And is that something we have to wait? Do we have to hit rock bottom and then surrender happens when we just can't take any more? Or is surrender when we realize, whoa, I am going the wrong way, I need to surrender? Or is that hitting rock bottom? And is it a grace that's revealed? What do you guys think? Holly Forward, welcome. Zero Calm. Yes. Hey. I love it. Cool name. Cool picture. Cool intro. How you doing, bro? Shauna says, hi, Holly. Hey, there's the green-eyed cat.
Hi, green-eyed cat.
Good morning. Morning for you, night for us. It's 8:04 here in Utah, in the States. I'm glad everybody's here. David says March 31st was his 5th birthday. Wow. 5 years clean.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
And welcome, Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
That's awesome.
Hi,
That's
Terry.
what's cool, David, about the community that you've just landed in is we are a community of people who want to get sober, who want to stay sober, and who do not want to relapse. Some of us have days, some of us have months, and some of us have years like yourself. And so I'm sure we could benefit a ton of all the experiences and strength testing of your sobriety that you've gone through. So if you see a question or a comment in there that you got something to add, please feel free to add it. We also have a private Facebook page that we all commune in, and we upload our strength and hope and just chit chat in there. And that's a good place to hang out. And then on Saturdays at 3:00, we have a Zoom meeting that's for Recovering Addict. And we meet there. This Saturday will be our second one. And if you're on that private Facebook page, you can get the link. And if you don't have Facebook or any of that, I have Discord. And in Discord, I also put the link to our Zoom meeting.
How do I get the bottom thing back?
Not his belly button birthday. I knew what you meant, brother. Rock bottom for me is to realize it. Okay. Because this article right here that I was reading says that it's not something you can will yourself to do. Surrender is at the heart of all spiritual paths. No practice is more powerful or profound, but what does it mean to surrender? And what does it not mean to surrender? Surrender is too often misunderstood, boiled down to a few affirmations about letting go, and then misused as a self-help instruction. But in our misunderstanding, in trying to do surrender with our minds, like we do everything else, we drain surrender of the true miracle that it is. Before we get into that, though, we have our 24-hour a day.
Yay,
April 22nd, AA thought of the day is people believe in AA when they see it work. An actual demonstration is what convinces them. What they read in books, what they hear people say, doesn't always convince them. But when they see a real, honest-to-goodness change take place in a person, a change from a truly sick person to a sober, useful citizen, that's something they can believe because they can see it. There's really only one thing that proves to me that AA works. Here's the question. Have I seen the change in people who come to AA? I've seen a few change, and it seems like I've said before, it's a 70-30 split, and it seems like 70 fail and 30 make it. But the 30% that I've seen change are people who were really sick. And when they change, they're amazing, like blow your mind, amazing, sympathetic, compassionate, loving, smart, driven people. It's amazing us addicts, what we are capable of when we are not blinded by our addiction and our drugs and alcohol.
And you get to see the wonderful people we knew you were.
Yep. We come out of our shells.
Hi, Grandma T.
Transformation. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Polly.
Polly's in the house. All right.
Hey,
What's up,
Bob.
Polly? You guys keep the other Holly, not Holly Ford, but the other Holly in your prayers. Reached out to her. Haven't heard back yet. Hope she's doing okay. I believe she's working. And she's on the front lines of this craziness as a nurse.
12-hour days or something.
Yeah, 12-hour days. So keep her in your prayers. What's up, Merk? Glad you're here. If I didn't say hi. Here's the meditation of the day. And it's about surrender. Imagine that. Surrender and trust in God are the only conditions necessary for a spiritual life. Divine control means absolute faith and trust in God, a belief that God is the divine principle in the universe and that he is the intelligence and the love that controls the universe. Unquestioning obedience to God means living each day the way you believe God wants you to live. Constantly seeking the guidance of God in every situation and being willing to do the right thing at all times. We have two choices in life, the right thing and the wrong thing. And it's so much easier to choose the wrong thing. Oh, man, our natures are bent towards choosing wrong. If choosing wrong just feels so much better for some reason than to say hello to somebody you disagree with and actually give them a positive thought or a comment or uplifting their spirit of the day if you just for some reason don't like them. And I don't know. We just have a bad human nature bent towards inclination towards doing the wrong thing. But here's the prayer of the day. I pray that I may always be under divine control and always practice unquestioning obedience to God. I pray that I may be always ready to serve him. That's good.
Me too.
You like it a lot. So this is what surrender is not. Surrender is not failure. It's not defeat. It's not a punishment. It's not a decision to let go. It's not a task that we can accomplish with our mind, a state we can will ourselves into, the decision to be comfortable with what is, an ending, a bad thing. So surrender is not failure. It's not defeat. It's not punishment. It's not something we can will ourselves into. And it's not the decision to be comfortable with what is. It's not an ending. Surrender's not the end. And surrender's not a bad thing. Surrender is, actually, every one of us at some point encounters a situation that rocks the foundation of who we are and what we think we can bear. Something that pushes us past our limits. Sometimes it's a situation we've lived with for a long time, and sometimes it's a sudden event that overwhelms us and for which our usual coping strategies are useless. While the content may differ with these experiences, share is the power to bring us to our knees. What these experiences share is the power to bring us to our knees, figuratively and often literally, and it is the power to change us. Hitting bottom. That's a hitting bottom thing. Link's accident was a sudden, spontaneous, overwhelming event. And then I lived with the situation that I was an alcoholic for a long time. And the two kind of came to a head at the same time. Pretty crazy.
Right there on Nakken.
Rock, what?
No, that was perfect. With the right one.
I surrendered and putting on effort in this program instead of fighting it. Things I have gotten easier for me. I can do this. Yes, you can.
Yes, you can, Naomi.
And it is. It's putting your energy in a different place. And like I've said before, nature abhors a vacuum. You remove the bad, you have to fill that space with something good, or it will fill itself with something bad. So good on you, Naomi. She says she's been off the meth all day. Want me to try and get her to watch? Sure. They're hiding in the garage. Yeah, invite them if they can stay away. If she's been off meth all day, she's probably really tired. And I will do some ASMR type of voice for y'all, and maybe she will fall asleep.
Yeah, just start scratching the thing.
Veronica,
Hi, Veronica.
Having such a better day today. Yay. Amen. I can feel it. I can feel your vibes. Except getting the little ones to bed. Yeah.
That's always a challenge. That's when they want to just talk your ear off.
We finally we put our foot down on our youngest, on the daughter. We're like, get out of the bed. You're done. You're done here. Well, I did. And this was me speaking. We kicked her out of bed. I had the best night. I had the best 3 hours of sleep I've ever had in my life.
Stupid Waco.
Yeah, I got stuck on a series on Netflix about Waco, Texas. I remember being 13 years old going through that whole event, that 51-day standoff down there in Waco, Texas with David Koresh and the ATF and the FBI. But I remember it, as a 13-year-old, and then rewatching it now as an adult, and that was intense.
Oh, go.
I surrendered to God and decided to let him lead my way. Amen. That's what we have to do. That was what our meditation said too. Yes, that's right. To win, you must give up. Yeah, and it's not a weakness. It's not.
It's takes a lot of strength to
Merck's a multitasking recovering addict.
to surrender.
Yes, he is. I can see that, dude. I can really see that. Roger, he says, I surrender to my decease. So true. If I can stay sober right now, there is hope for anyone. Veronica, if I can get sober, if you would have met me a year ago, 1 year ago, you would say there's no hope for that guy. I couldn't quit. I could not quit drinking. I didn't see any hope. And there's that side of you that wants to, but does not want to. There's a side of you that is just shackled and chained to it. And then there's the other side trying to not be and justify what, I don't know. There's just so many sides when you're inside that addiction. And the one that that stands out for me is when I'm driving to the store or when I was on my way home and the thought of passing the liquor store, getting here, and the fear of not having a bottle of whiskey. It was like the weirdest type of fear that got me to turn off the exit every time. Strange.
That gave me the same fear, but different. I'm like, oh.
Different types of fears. She ain't coming out.
Ah.
I gave her a real strong pitch. I'd have loved to hear that pitch.
We miss you, Sandra.
She's retired to her tent. Tired, yes, very good. She's probably dope sick. Y'all know because of my meth addiction right here says sleepy. because I went to jail. I slept for what felt like a month, but it was probably more like 3 weeks, just off and on. And towards the end of that 3 weeks or whatever, the guys were in the pod were telling me, yo, dude, hey, Sleepy.
You stink.
Sleepy, you stink. It's time to take a shower, man. And so I rolled out of bed and took a shower. And then my whole time in that pod at that time, my nickname was Sleepy. And then somebody snuck in a CD player motor and we got some
So ghetto.
so hooks. We made some gel. We made some ink. And I'm like, yeah, put Sleepy right there. That would be so cool. And I had out here in the west side, we got 18th Streeters from California. Then we had Ogden Thresses from Ogden. And I guess they hate each other or something. So I had the 18th Streeter from California write it with a pen, and then the guy that tattooed me was a Thresse, and then I got them when they were kind of close to each other. I said, I put you two together. You wrote it, and you put it on there, so you guys can't have any differences. You both did this tattoo.
Peacemaker. Blessed are the peacemakers.
So I tried to make some gang peace while I was in there.
You guys are best friends now.
So stupid. Amen. His will is so much better than ours. Our mind tries to control everything it comes in contact with. And that's the truth. Does your mind try to control everything that you come in contact with? I know mine does. And that's its nature. To try to keep us safe, to make us happy, to give us better lives. And we have to elaborate and seemingly endless strategies for trying to find sure that our lives contain the experiences that we want. And then we have to try to control our lives to make sure that we have the experiences we don't want on this side. Okay, we don't want those. We want these. And we try to control our lives through these. Our minds will fight with, reject, ignore, push against. Excuse me. And keep maneuvering to change those situations that we don't want. And then comes time, a situation when you can't keep fighting, either because it's too painful or because we finally know at the bottom of our heart that it is futile and that some other as of yet known path is needed. So if you're fighting, you're white knuckling it, you're fighting this, you're moving this way, you're moving that way, but you just come to this end and you know, even though you don't know what path it is, you know something else has to happen. You know that this unknown path is needed. And then surrender begins, where all other strategies end. But surrender is not a strategy. It is the profound absence of strategies. Did you catch that? Surrender is not a strategy. It is the profound absence of strategies. It's waking up to realize that all the strategies have been failed and we're plumb out of new ones. Surrender happens when we know that we don't know. It arrives when we know that we can't think or see our way through where we are. We don't have the answers. In true surrender, we don't know if what to come will be better or worse, more comfortable or more awful. All we know is that we can't do it this way, the way we've been doing it, a moment longer. Surrender happens when I cannot happen. That makes sense?
Polly says we've reached 500 people.
We did? We have 500 subscribers? No way. I have to look.
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
Well, see, Alexis don't know. Alexa, are you serious, Polly? Don't be giving my hopes up.
Here's something I found
He's
on the
not
web.
just kidding.
According
He
to
did?
Democrats.com,
No, I'm just kidding.
Polly has a serious concussion.
Shut
Her
up.
stomach has already been removed.
500 subscribers, you guys. Oh my gosh. Thank you, everybody. Woo! That is exciting. Whoever just
Not gonna
subscribed
sleep
the last
tonight.
little bit and everybody before that, thank you so much for being the first 5 and being the foundation of this channel. Man, so
You are all co-founders.
I'm going to cry.
He's going to cry.
I'm getting a glimpse.
And he's not even going to sleep tonight because he's going to be so excited.
I'm calling it sick. I'm quitting my job.
What's his shoe?
I'm quitting my job.
Thanks, Polly.
Thank you guys so much. Everybody hit like on this feed right here. Wow, exciting. Thank you, Polly. I wouldn't have even known. David Kress was a cult. It was 44 day, 51 day. Sorry, Polly, you're wrong. 50. Oh, something. Okay. Something like that. Okay. And 79 people. Yep. And then Timothy McVeigh came out of that. There's a lot of militias that were born because of that 1993 incident in Waco, Texas. I just learned everything I can learn about it. I'm an alcoholic, clean and sober, almost 10 years. Wow, Roger, that is good, man.
Congratulations, Roger.
Tell us how you did it, man. Just give us a little
snippet.
little chunk of just. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna click the next one.
Oh, look up Cody's.
Yeah, this one.
Cody says, I still have that whisper to drink myself, but I'm fighting it. Last couple of days were better than the day before yesterday. Looking forward to getting past 30 days for the first time in 5 years. Oh, man, Cody, I know exactly where you're at, but my warning still stands. If you see here, move that comment real quick. Just click one and pull it off.
I don't know. He's smarter than me.
47 days I relapsed, Cody. You see how it goes white, orange, white. You've heard this before and you'll hear it a million times. But while I was in my IOP for 5 months, I almost want to say hundreds because that's what it felt like. But for the first 3 months, I couldn't see past my elbow. So I don't even really know how many people came and went. But I know it was quite a few. But then once the change happened in me and I was actually helping and involved in the group, I seen people come and go, and you would pour our hearts out into them, give them all this advice, and they would leave. And everybody that relapsed seemed to have this bump in the road between 30 and 60 days. So from 30 to 60, be very vigilant, step up your program, do a little bit of extra work, hit a little bit of extra meetings, say a little bit of extra prayers, wake up 10 minutes early if you have to do these things to stay on top, because your addict mind is never asleep. It is always ready and willing to just tear you apart. And that's what it did to me. It slowly came in and it was taking advantage of my indecisiveness, my desire to not be there, my lie to myself that I was in control. And then my counselor said, after I drank my relapse, my 3 shots of whiskey, just to prove that I could drink as much as I wanted and put it down and not drink more, that I'm the average temperate drinker. And I get to group and he's chewing on me, the hot seat, we called it. He put us in the hot seat. He says, so let me get this straight. You're here because you have a drinking problem. And then you had to go drink to prove that you don't have a drinking problem. And oh my gosh, it's like that one little story we read out of this book yesterday. I could tell the difference between the white horse and the black horse because the black horse is 4 inches taller. It's like, it was one of those. And that's exactly what he was talking about.
Says these days mean more to me than they ever have been.
Awesome.
That's
I bet your
awesome.
wife is loving it too.
And your kids. Everybody's loving it.
Tell Cody what you think. We're not saying this is what's happening, but what was your experience of me during that first 30 days?
The first 30 days were probably a lot of anxiety that he wouldn't stick to it, especially when you started talking about having that little mini bottle. I was like, well, here we go again.
Well, there you go.
Yep. I was like, he did his thing. He made it, what was it,
47 days.
And then now we're back to square one. But like they said, that's when that switch flipped. But it's very nerve-wracking, just that constant anxiety of wondering every time you drive past that liquor store, is he going to turn? But I mean, was he going to grab one on the way home? What store is he stopping at? But then after that 47 days, that clicked and that anxiety it fizzled off. Now I only get it every once in a while, that little weird, and then it's gone.
Little triggers that pop up and go away. What about my state of mind, my presence?
The first 30 days, you seemed very resistant to treatment. And then tried to find every excuse you could to quit. And I was
Quit treatment.
Yeah, quit treatment. But I tried to keep telling you that all that stuff didn't matter. Just keep going because you're here. And then everybody at rehab was telling you the same thing. But you could see that fight in your brain where you didn't want to do it, but you knew you needed to do it. But as far as it wasn't like walking on eggshells anymore. The house was calmer. You were calmer. There wasn't that fear of, what's tonight going to be like? because you were sober. So I knew at least what I was getting into when I got home, and it was going to be peaceful.
So Cody, maybe your wife is experiencing some of those things. So if you could think about that, because I sure didn't. So Bob says, maybe tomorrow you could send her a link, and yeah, Bob, I'll send you a link for sure. And if you want to try to do that with like we did with Holly, my offer always stands. If there's somebody out there that's off on drugs and they want to get clean and they want to come on this channel to have a live feed, a live, putting yourself out there kind of a thing. And well, at the 8:30 mark, we will pull you on, ask you how you're doing, what your experience is. We'll give you some advice. We'll get some advice from the comments. And you can pop on here as long as it's necessary to help you stay off drugs. So that's one thing that we like to do around here. Anything we can do to help somebody get off drugs and then continue to press through on relapse prevention.
So he said, I can tell my wife is getting a little tired of being on all these meetings online. She's feeling neglected, I can tell. Just remind your wife that you're more present. Because when LT was drinking, he was not present with the family. And even though he was gone, because LT was gone every night, as soon as we got home almost, he'd come take a nap and then leave and come home in time for bed. But I felt like I'd seen him more in that time than I had the past 3 years, even though he was never here. But just the fact that he was present and sober.
I would go to my IOP from 5:30 to 9 o'clock, Monday through Friday. And so I'd get off work at 3. And we carpool to work, come home. I would catch a 20-minute nap, get up, take a shower, drive clear back out to South Ogden. And I was in treatment till 9. Didn't get home till about 9:30 for 5 months. And what she just said is that she felt like I was more present at that moment than I was when I was drinking because I was so more distant as a drinker. But I may have drank a lot more than you too, Cody. But if you could actually involve your wife in the Al-Anon side of things, and kind of get her educated on what you're going through and what you're going to go through for the next couple of years, what we're going to go through for the next couple of years, it probably would help a ton.
Yeah. Just, you're going to need as much support as you can get from other people going through the same stuff you are. And then sometimes that takes time away from the family, but in the long
what
run,
up, Sober
it's totally
James?
worth it.
Oh, Sober James, since you didn't answer my comment, look what my mom let me borrow. I'm going to try my hand at some disc golf on Friday. Boom. 10 o'clock. Me and a couple of my sober buddies from my IOP, we're going out to this course and we're going to try it. Get my fat butt up some exercise. Whoops.
Oh, Cody, and LT never made me feel left out. I think that was very important because had he went and come home and not ever talked about it, I'd have felt really left out and secluded. But he always included me on what was going on. And then we did family stuff together. Yes,
you're right, green-eyed cat. And I wish I could get the message out to some of the wives. And speaking of that, the shout out for Simon. He's out in Ireland. He's our good buddy. He's going through some things. He's asleep right now. But he told me to make sure we shout him out and, get us to pray for him and stuff so that he can overcome addiction. And the kind of stuff that he's experiencing, what he's going through, and it makes me think of, if we could somehow get a spouse like mine who was finally able, through counseling and through learning, separate the addict from the person that's addicted. Because once the addiction, is in remission, that's what I like cancer. Yeah, once it's in remission and you are on the road to recovery and you're in recovery and you're practicing these principles and all our affairs, to understand that person is completely different from the person that you were under the influence of your blinded addiction. And if they can finally see that and learn how to, one, realize they're powerless over both, they can feel better about themselves, and then to help feed one or the other through their behaviors. But, the addiction rests on us. It's totally on us.
Jim's need you to lift that up again. He says it looks like a putter.
This thing?
No, your disc golf.
Oh, no, my mom gave me the lowdown, man. I guess come to find out, my mom is like really bomb at disc golf. This one says distance driver. Distance driver on it.
There's different ones.
And she's like, I'll let you start off with that one, son.
I ain't giving you the collection yet.
Go practice. Maybe in the fall I'll let you challenge mama. I was like, dang, Mom, calm down.
Your mom's gonna kick your butt at disc golf.
And she's like, most people, they be throwing it like this. She said, but me, I'd be throwing it like this. Huh, Mom? Would have been your first year, but I'm going to get this right this year and this time around. Hey, bro, Mert, you got this. You got in the right place. You're always, every time I pop into our stream team, and I call the stream team Lisa, Nicole, James, and I, and everybody that are in the comments and on our Facebook pages and our Discords and the Zoom meetings. Dude, you're in every one of them. So you're obviously in the right place. Just saturating yourself. Just continue to keep pressing up that down escalator and learn for the triggers that, because remember, we learned that you're running up a down escalator. And once you start, as soon as you stop, you're starting to head down. And at the bottom of this down escalator, that's where drugs and alcohol are. It's not drinking. Oh, I relapsed because I drank. No, it happened before that. Something in your character defects. And once we get through this book, and you know what? I think I might take a break, like I said, after step 2 and jump into education on what character defects are. Because it took me a minute. I'm like, okay, character defects, what? Until they're pointed out to you and you start thinking about them and, meditating on them. Do they really start making sense? And so once we get through this surrender and this powerlessness and enter into step 1, understanding that we are powerless against our addiction and that our lives have become unmanageable. And then we'll do a little piece on step 2, higher power, surrendering to your higher power and his will and him restoring us to sanity. Then we'll dive into character defects. I'll kind of just take you through what my IOP did to me and helped me out. So what are we looking at, Mom?
Your mom's laughing at you.
That's my mom right there, James, in the comments.
She agrees. She's the best at disc golf. Should we, James?
Yeah, everybody shout out to my mom. We just, we had a funeral in the family today. Show her some loves.
Yes, Veronica, moms are the best.
Mums.
I got 3 very awesome moms. 3? Your mom, my mom, stepmom? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Al-Anon. There you go. You guys are looking for a good woman? Stop looking on whatever. Was it Tinder and fish.com or something?
Yeah, whatever.
Look there. Instead of looking there, go to Al-Anon, man. Find somebody to get you.
I don't think they have that 13th step.
You got Alicia laughing at you. Lynn B.
Don't be the dog.
No worries. If you can show up, show up. No worry. No worries. Oh, man. All right. Let's get into this book, y'all, because it's all about surrender. So if you remember the first little bit of this, we went through, we are powerless over other people, right? It was about learning that we need to actually follow the instructions. Don't throw them in the garbage. The fact that when you're trying to take that peg and you're pounding it in the hole the wrong way, to somebody tells you, hey, flip it the other way. And that paradigm shift happens when you go, oh, it works this way. And we start going down that. And then we went through the serenity prayer, how we need to understand as we move through life, we have to put everything in 2 categories. We can either accept it or we can change it, right? God has to grant us the wisdom to understand which is which, because a lot of times we don't know. Traffic, that's an easy one. I got to accept it. There's nothing you can do. Your addiction, you could possibly just accept it, thinking, well, this is the way it is. But God has to give you the wisdom to understand that's something that needs to change. Because by some things that we accept, we make worse. And by some things that need to be accepted and we try to change makes things worse. So that is the key to the serenity prayers. You're asking for that wisdom to know what category to place any situation in life. Like today at the funeral, that is the way God had it. We must accept the things we cannot change. So some way or the other, all of us who are in recovery process, we are given the wisdom to take the very first step 1. That's what separates us from those who are still suffering. Let me read that again. Some way or other, all of us who are in the recovery process were given the wisdom to take the very first step. And that is what separates us from those who are still suffering. So somewhere, somehow, the wisdom to understand that that is something we can change. And we started taking that step, which is step 1, and put it in the I'm changing this category. That's what separates us from the person that still suffers. The person that still suffers is accepting their addiction. And it goes a lot deeper than that, I'm sure. You love the addiction, it's your idol, that's your higher power at the moment, and all that kind of stuff. We surely weren't capable of doing this ourselves. We accepted the fact that we could not change without help, and we asked for the help. Likewise, some of us try for years to change a behavior to try to become normal in some area, but we can't change. We give up and accept the fact that we are not normal in this regard, and the behavior changes immediately. We need to recall that God's will never enters where self-will dominates. As long as we insist on having our own will, there is no knowledge or concept of God's will. That's all the admission of powerlessness is. It is shutting off of self-will in a particular area. Surrender usually means admitting we are powerless over this thing. Of course, it is very hard for us to do. So now listen to this. This is me and this is her. The alcoholic, for example, or the drug addict, I'm both. I was a tweaker, pothead, and then I tried every dang drug you can imagine. But alcohol, weed, and meth were my huge, so that's me. Anyway, alcoholics must say, I am powerless over alcohol. Al-Anons, that's what she would be. Or you could call them adult children of alcoholics or wives of alcoholic. They have to say, I am powerless over people, places, and things. And all of us could say, I'm powerless over that obnoxious person at work or over the carburetor in my car. We have to surrender to all these things. We have to surrender all these things to God. And we have to let go of the outcomes. Is this making sense to you guys? All right. So on that note, let's hear our motivational quote from Cassie.
Hey guys, welcome back today. The motivational quote here on Recovering Addicts. Without struggle, there would be no progress. Frederick Douglass. As always, you guys know what to do. Let's keep continuing to spread that love.
Continue to spread that love.
Always puts a smile on my face, Cassie. Every time I see you winking.
Thank you, Cassie, for being so faithful with those videos every day. It's not easy. It's weird, man. Try one little thing that takes 15 minutes of your day, every day, something that you don't normally do, and try to do it for every night for the next 2 months. All of a sudden, you're like, I ain't got time for that.
Just have your whole day's little 15-minute things.
What's up, John? I had started on a relapse plan, and this is my first time doing something like that. It is harder than I thought. Can you give me an idea?
Okay. He also asked what powerlessness was. I forgot to put it up there.
Powerlessness?
Yeah.
Can you lift up a 200-pound boulder? You're powerless. Powerlessness is accepting the fact there's things you cannot change. You are powerless over it. And understanding that you are powerless is the beginning of surrender. I can try my hardest to tell her to stay in the house, don't leave me, be married to me, you love me, you just stick around, you're faithful to me only, you're mine, and there's nothing. At the end of the day, I can cry, I can have anxiety, my hair can fall out, I can lock her in the basement, but at the end of the day, I cannot control it. She wants to walk out that front door, she's gone. I am completely powerless over another person, period. And that's over my children. I can discipline them. They're under my house, under my rule for now, and I can guide them in everything. But at the end of the day, I'm powerless over them too. At the end of the day, they're going to make a decision that they're going to make. That goes with our bosses, our coworkers. Getting in your car. If you start your car and it does not start because something's broken in there, you're powerless over it. And the point of being powerless and accepting powerlessness is so that you're not riddling yourself with anxiety or destructive anger, which I would do. If my car didn't start back in the day, even my son noticed a change in me. But if my car didn't start, and I've done this before, I would punch, and just start wailing on the steering wheel. It's like, I'm completely powerless over this. Why would I try to break my hand over the steering wheel? So understanding powerlessness is accepting the fact that you are powerless. And so don't freak out about it.
Yeah.
We were driving the other day and Linky's all, Dad, I noticed you don't have road rage anymore.
That was awesome.
That was
He's
awesome.
very observant. In
Very
his
observant.
own little ways. Oh, he wanted an idea. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. An idea for your relapse plan. Let me bust mine out real quick again because John, get a pen out. If you have a pen, grab a pen real quick and write these categories down. Write down goals. Just set your first one, goals. And now look for the next 30 days. So underneath goals, put 4 different categories inside or 4 different points, A, B, C, D, and put 1 month goal, 1 year goal, 3-year goal, 5-year goal. What do you have in mind you want to achieve sober in the next 5 years? And what do you want to achieve sober in the next month? Write those down. This is going to help you stay focused on a future and going towards a goal, going towards an objective that's going to keep you on path. And that's part of a relapse prevention. To set something in front of you to strive towards, that you are not going to take a left and grab a bottle of whiskey or some heroin or some meth or whatever. So goals, write down some goals. You can even go 10, 25 years. If you want to own a house in 10 years, write down 10, if you're 10 years is your big mark, 10 years, own a house or whatever. The goals I wrote down, I said, the first thing I'm going to do is build a daily habit. This was my first goal, was to build a daily habit of stopping 2 times a day and taking personal inventory. So right out the gate, my everyday goal was to stop twice a day. And I pictured in my mind like at 11 a.m. and about 7 o'clock at night, instead of on top of, I should say, my evening inventory. So at 11 o'clock, and I would set a reminder if I had to, but it became a habit quicker than I thought it would. But about 11 o'clock or so, and I do it more often than this too, but 11 o'clock, I'd stop. How did I just react throughout the first 4 or 5 hours of my day? Was it in recovery or was it in relapse? And then in the spirit of step 10, I would promptly admit it and I would change if I was wrong. So that was that one. And then I put, we as a family, we're going to set up family study and conversation time for 2 nights a week. Now we're doing this every night because we didn't see COVID coming, but we still get our conversations in. We're going to study books, and that's what we're doing here. We're going to talk about character defects with our kids. That was another goal of mine. And then another goal is that I was going to read 1 new book every 2 months, nothing overwhelming. And then my other goal is I will continue to study recovery and grow my YouTube channel and my photography business. And that was kind of my years out plan. And the second category I want you to put is meetings. How many meetings are you going to attend? I saw somebody in the comments put 90 and 90. That's a great one. And with Zoom, you ain't got to leave the house. You could do 3 every day if you wanted to. So how many meetings are you going to hit? This is what I put. I'm going to get more involved in the church that I attend. I'm going to go to the Sunday morning service and the Friday night recovery meeting, and I'm going to help where needed. I'm going to continue with my aftercare on Tuesdays. I'll continue with the group on the weekends as they bounce around on the weekends to AA or NA meetings. So I set up a plan for how am I going to interject myself into recovery programs and meetings, AA, NA, whatever. The second thing, or the third one, was a sponsor. I will commit to visit my sponsor regularly. So if you don't have a sponsor, put it on there. I'm going to get a sponsor, and give yourself a deadline. And you can do it digitally too. The technology, it's out there. There's people on the private Facebook group here or on Facebook in the Recovering Addict one that they said they are willing to be online sponsors. So reach out there if you don't have one. And then I wrote down the fourth category, write this down: triggers, things to look out for. And you want to explain, when you're done with this relapse prevention plan, find somebody that's close to you and read it out loud to them, and then have them give you feedback. Be like, well, what about this? What are you going to do if this situation arises? Do you have a plan if all of a sudden you find yourself in a high risk using situation, or somebody comes over, and there's that high risk of you being able to relapse? Make sure you have a plan for that moment. That's a part of the relapse prevention plan, is planning the future to not relapse. Triggers that I put was being bored, if I start lacking on my goals, if I get stressed out and frustrated with work, be careful. And then just talk about your relationships you want to grow. And last but not least, I will be open with Felice about how I feel when it comes to my triggers, anxiety, anger, or any other feeling that I will arise at any given time. So that was my relapse prevention plan. And then put it on the fridge, read it and rewrite it and add to it if you need to. Sweet. Hopefully that helped.
Mike says thank you too.
Hey, good night, Brent. Have a good night. A good day
Good night,
of fishing
Brent.
tomorrow. Michael Olson, what's up, brother?
Hey, Mike.
You're welcome. You are very welcome. We're glad you're here. If you're new, let us know what's up with you. What you drank of choice, or what kind of drug you like, or are you sober? You in sobriety? You trying to get sober? What's up? 90 and 90. Yes. Absolutely. I did my IOP. So that was 5 days a week, 3 hours a night. So that was a little more than 90 and 90, but I would highly suggest 90 and 90. And then when they're doing those readings at the beginning of AA and NA, maybe try to remember what they are. Go home and look them up or ask for them and study those, and then try to recite them. And when they go through the 12 steps, try to memorize them and then contemplate, meditate on these things. Let a new mind be renewed in your thinking, and start meditating and chewing on the thoughts of recovery. That's what helped me. Like, if you meditate on how it works, that first paragraph about being honest, read it, reread it, and then break it apart. Just break it apart sentence by sentence, word for word, define the words you don't know, and chew on every aspect. So the next time they read how it works, you could get up and you could preach on it for 15 minutes. That's the way that I overthink and look at stuff, but it helps because you're renewing your mind. You're getting your mind to stop thinking about the alcohol and drugs. Like I said, nature abhors a vacuum. If you remove the thoughts of alcohol, though you are trying to remove the thoughts of alcohol and using, you must replace them with something positive. Nice. 4 years, 4 months clean. Dang.
That a girl.
We're getting some sober soldiers up in here. That is awesome. Years. Thank you, James. Appreciate the feedback. Yes, put it in your journal tonight and do it right away. The biggest lie that we tell ourselves is, I'll remember that. If you need, I got sticky notes everywhere.
If I write it down, I'll remember. But if I don't, it's gone.
I got to write it
Out
down.
of there.
90 push-ups in 90 minutes for 90 days, while the 90 meetings in 90 days. Cody, woo, Merc. He's adding CrossFit into the equation.
I can't even do 3 regular push-ups.
That's a good idea. 90 push-ups in 90 minutes. That's easy, though. That would be way too easy.
1 a minute.
Yeah. That's easy. You can do like 3 push-ups in a minute, or maybe 5.
So you get to 50, and then it's like 1 every 3 minutes.
Until you get to 50. Thank you, Frankie. Yeah, I'm glad you're here too, man.
Glad you're here, Frankie.
I'm glad. We do this every night. So those of you that don't know, we do this every single night. And I'm trying to go through this book, but I just keep getting sidetracked by other topics, which is fine by me. But surrender. We must surrender to accept step 1, which is good. I'm glad we are not quite getting to the rest of this, because there's only a page and a half left in this chapter that we have to go through. And we just went over what separates us from those who still suffer. And that is the fact that we surrendered and we're given the wisdom to surrender. Bob did 300 meetings. I believe it. If you go back to stream number 10, I believe it's 10. And Steve Vale talks about his story. Wow, that guy's commitment. He didn't have a car, so he walked, but he refused rides and made himself walk to do something different than being the druggie that he was, and literally wore out multiple pairs of shoes, making it to meetings, rain, snow, or shine. The guy is a commitment to recovery, which is good because it proves how much effort you need to put into your program. You have to put every bit of effort, if not more, into your program as you did your addiction.
Sorry to hear about your gram, Miranda.
My gram died 2 days ago. Oh, Miranda, we just buried my aunt today at 4:00. We were all at the graveyard. Is that what they call them these days? Graveyards. Yeah. We were up at the grave site and had a little we just literally just buried my aunt, and she was a special aunt to me because when I was in jail back in my early 20s, I committed a second-degree felony burglary. I was in jail for a year, and she was faithfully there. It was kind of weird at first because she was my aunt, It was like, how close do you? I mean, like when you just talk to your aunt, it was kind of weird at first, but I'm sitting there all vulnerable, in my freaking jumpsuit and my blue and whites, and through the plexiglass, there's my aunt just smiling at me. How you doing today, LT? Good. And then after, a few weeks of that, it was like, oh, Aunt Linda's, yay. And she became one of my favorite visitors. But she was there faithfully, like every week. So she's got it, besides the fact that we would go to her house and barbecues, and she was my aunt, but to sit there for an hour and a half or whatever the visiting time was in jail and just get to know her through the glass was a special place in my heart. And I feel your pain, Miranda. We just buried her today, literally today. But we are sorry for your loss, and we'll add you to our prayer list. Let's put her on the prayer list too.
Yeah. Terry says the Big Book Dictionary is helpful
Big
for anybody that needs one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm going to put that in the link in the description. Is it an extra book, or is there a dictionary in the back of the book? Must be an extra book. That sounds interesting. I will be getting one of those. Thank you, Terry. I love books. Love reading books. I love studying books. And I love teaching books. Proud of you for asking the questions and wanting to learn more about what you can do to help your sobriety. Yes. Got to get out there and ask. And our Zoom meetings are going to be very similar. I want us to be very focused on relapse prevention, and we're going to keep the conversations for people that need it. We need it right now. Times are completely tough, and I don't think they're going to go back to normal for quite a while. The stigma and fear that they've taught us to judge each other with, like they just ingrained into you go out without a mask on and you get close to somebody now and everybody thinks the coronavirus is everywhere.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Which is, I don't think society's going to go quite back to normal like it was. Right now, they can't even give away oil. That's crazy out there right now. Crazy. Absolutely. Good words there, Murd. Surrender to Win was the name of the convention I went to. They explained why they named it that. And you absolutely do have to surrender to win. Yeah. And surrender's a good thing.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of people see surrender as a weakness, but those of us who have had some experience with surrender know that it is the way to get true strength. All the people who are remembered as successful military commanders, for example, had one thing in common. They knew how to surrender or retreat. Custer did not. If you remember Custer, he was the Battle of Bighorn. Him and all his people got wiped out by Sioux Indians, and he didn't know how to surrender, and he got wiped out. But McCarthy, back, what was it, 1943 with Japan, surrendered, and that's the day the guns stopped shooting. So you must know when to surrender. They could save your life. And we got to learn the value of saying, I don't know, or I made mistakes, or what I've been trying to do doesn't work. People talk about surrender as if it were a very painful experience. And I guess it is painful at first, but we don't want to throw that tool away after we've used it on alcohol or another addiction. It is a powerful and useful tool we can use every day in our lives. For example, you know that if you are trying to reason with another human being who does not want to hear your reasoning, you are in an impossible situation. If you can surrender and admit you are powerless, probably in the long run, something is going to bring that person to see the truth. Besides alcohol and addiction and surrendering there, surrender is something that's going to help us the rest of our lives. Terry says it's a small book, an extra. Okay. Well, I'm gonna be looking at that one. Thank you, Murd.
Thanks, Murd.
Appreciate the thoughts and Talk about relinquishing control. Death is the ultimate test of acceptance. Yes. Accept the things we cannot change. Good words, James. Seventh Calvary. Don't be telling jokes I have to look up, Merc.
Or is it a question? Was it the 7th Calvary?
I don't know.
I don't know either. You're the history guy. You watched Waco. I didn't.
I'll get back to you on that. Hey, Alexa, was General Custer in the 7th Cavalry?
Here's something I found on the web. According to timetoast.com, by the Little Bighorn River in Montana, General George Custer led the 7th Cavalry of about 250
Alexa,
soldiers
stop.
to attack.
Yeah, so Custer in the 7th Cavalry
In Montana.
in Montana.
Montana.
She's so smart and so stupid at the same time. We all did, Frankie. Hey, Frankie, did you put in there how long you've been clean? Did I miss that? Let me know. Yeah. What time is it? 8:56 already. Amen. And she was one that prayed a lot for us. If you would have known me and my cousins, she couldn't quit praying. Lisa has a little experience with that.
They're awesome family. Just as crazy as mine.
Russell.
Hey, Russ.
Woo.
Hey, Russ.
You gotta give Russell a shout out for me because he was one of my good, solid buddies in my recovery, my IOP program. There's about 5 people in that program who, if they were not there at that exact moment, thank you, God, I wouldn't have made it. And that is the God honest truth.
Montana. 25 days today. Congratulations, Frankie.
Yes, keep going. Keep coming back. Write that down so we can do a thing. You're
Right.
almost to 30, bro. And when you get to 30, and now that we're getting to know you, we'll make you a very special video just for you. That'll be somewhat inspirational.
And we'll remember.
Oh, Emily. Well, we love you too. Is Russ watching? Bring him on here. But yeah, there's a wife who supported her husband, who understood, just like my wife supports my husband. Give it up for Emily.
Your wife supports your husband?
What? A wife that
News
supported
to
her
me.
husband through recovery as my wife supported me through my recovery. She's amazing too. Mark knows a place in Montana.
Montana? Alicia says we should go to retreat to Montana.
Kelly, what's going on? How you doing? Welcome. Good to see you. James getting techie. What do you say?
Techie.
I missed it. I'm watching on my TV and commenting on my phone. Whoa, that is super techie.
Ooh,
That
nerd.
is super awesomely
Where's your
techie.
nerd glasses?
He's got a pair. I've seen it.
He's probably wearing them right now. Send
Are
us
you
a
wearing your
picture.
wired glasses there, James? With your cool, awesome ones? Well, we didn't get as far in this book as I thought we were going to. Do I press through or do I save it for tomorrow? I'm going to save it for tomorrow. So here's the plan for the next couple of days. We're going to finish the last couple pages of this book, the steps we took. If you don't have it, it's in the description below. You can click that link and buy it. We're going to go through the rest of that chapter. Then we are going to we'll do a review of step 1, and I will read you guys my step 1.
Hi, Kelly.
This is the step 1 I had to do when I was in there. And we're going to go through, we'll go through this a good chunk of the show and talk about, because like, here's one question that I had to answer. 3 examples of taking drinks or other drugs to help me manage hangovers, crashing, or withdrawal symptoms. And think of it in terms of specific times or ways that I did this. So I had to give 3 examples to answer that question of my using history. We'll bust through all that, and that'll give you a good idea of what step 1 requires from you, because at the very last question, now that you have proven you are powerless and you are need for a greater power, or let me read that again. My goodness. Now that you have proven your powerlessness and therefore need to seek a power greater than yourself, are you ready to move on to step 2? Because it asks, are you an alcoholic or addict? Yes. And after a thick piece of paper asks you this many questions about your addiction, you're going to know if you're an addict or an alcoholic or not. And step 1 is a part of that. And the fact that you may even be wondering is a sign as well. Pull out my Appy app here.
So, John Hopeful, what is your sober birthday?
We're glad you're here too, Kelly. Thank you so much. I'm glad. I want to add value. I don't want to come on the stream and not add value. I want to cherish every moment that you guys are giving us through just watching. So I want to give every moment back to you as best I can by adding value to your sobriety and recovery. And the day that you see me start slipping, or if you see anything I can do to improve, please let me know. Traveling the open road. This is a road to our spiritual growth. When we arrived at our first NA meeting, it looked like the end of the road to many of us. We weren't going to be able to use anymore. We were spiritually bankrupt. Most of us were totally isolated and didn't think we had much to live for. Little did we realize that as we began our program of recovery, we were stepping onto a road of unlimited possibilities. Amen. So at first, just not using was tough enough. Yet, as we watched other addicts working the steps and applying those principles in their lives, we began to see that recovery was more than just not using. The lives of our NA friends had changed. They had a relationship with the God of their understanding. They were responsible members of the fellowship and of a society they had a reason to live. We began to believe these things were possible for us too. As we continue our recovery journey, we can get sidetracked by complacency, intolerance, or dishonesty. When we do, we need to recognize the signs quickly and get back on our path, the open road to freedom and growth. Just for today, I'm continuing to develop my spiritual, social, and general living skills by applying these principles of my program. I can travel as far as I wish on the open road of recovery. Amen. I love that one. That's a good one. Oh.
That is a good one. Where is the link to that book? Is it just in YouTube?
Got your text, James. I noticed the same thing. What?
What? Do I got a bat in the cave?
No. James is making me laugh. Where are we at here with these comments?
Hey, Kelly, here's the link to the YouTube channel. The link to the book is in the description. Is it on the Facebook page? It's
in the Facebook page. It's in the YouTube channel. And if y'all want to help us out right now, hit that like button real quick. Increases the good stuff for the channel so that YouTube loves us kind of a thing.
So there's the staying sober one. Is
Yep,
the other
that's
one in
staying sober. I will post.
Is
It's not in the group. I'll make sure that the link to that book is in the group, but it's also on if you're on Facebook, it's in that description. And if you're on YouTube, it's in the description as well underneath the video. It should be up there, like down, right in there.
Oh, okay.
Seymour.
So
Skinner.
Right above the video you're watching, Kelly, if you make it tiny and go to see more, it's in that description there. It's real
Sweet.
long.
I'm gonna have to check that out. Chromecast, huh? Yes, smash that like button, y'all. Pretty please. Smash that like. And thank you guys for helping me hit 500 subscribers tonight. Man, I'm trying to accept the things I cannot change. We're just going to do this every night, and it's going to grow however God decides it's going to grow. And the frustration I feel if it doesn't grow is not going to help. So I have to apply my tools, my program tools that I learn to myself every day about everything. And tomorrow I have to go to work, and guess what I have to do? I have to surrender. I have to surrender to the authority of my supervisors and to what the requirements of my job are. I have to surrender that it's a 10-hour day. Whew.
Ugh.
I'm going to start surrendering right now.
Yep.
All right, you guys. It is that time. Ready, babe?
Yes.
God, Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Okay, join that Facebook page. Put it on your schedule. 3:00 Saturday. We have a Zoom meeting dedicated to relapse prevention. We share our strengths and our hopes with each other. Work your program, y'all. Stay strong, and remember that we recover better
Together.